Hi, I'm Christopher Hein, and today we're going to talk about the fundamental building blocks of Hodoki. So Hodoki are the disentanglement techniques. That's a pretty direct translation of what it means to disentangle or unmake a mess of something that's all bound up. So we're going to do some Hodoki work today with Josh. Josh is back, so I know you guys will all be super excited. You don't have to deal with just me. We're going to get right to it. Josh, let's go to work. All right, so let's talk about the fundamental building blocks of Hodoki and what that is. So Hodoki are simply disentanglement techniques. So you get disentangled from whatever you're tangled up in. There are two types of grabs we're going to talk about these from. One is do-dori, and do's like the core, dori is to grab, and that would be a kata-dori, a mune-dori, a ryo-kata-dori, an ushiro-ryo-kata-dori, an eri-dori, right? So any of those grabs. All right, in the body grabs, basically what Josh is trying to do is create tension in the grabbed spot, right? Now, if I'm grabbing the core of his body without grabbing his fabric, I'm going to have a really weak grab, right? So if Josh just did a triangle from this or a sotomowari, whatever he did from this, right? It doesn't matter. It's going to be really hard for me to hold him unless I got like big basketball player size hands, right? So if he just increases the pressure there at that spot, I'm probably going to pop off. Okay, now, even if I have a good hold on the fabric, if he can make enough tension on that fabric, he's probably going to pop off, right? So creating tension at the grab spot is the first thing you're going to do. You're going to do that basically by extending out, okay? So in some way, so let's say I had Josh Ushiro eri-dori, right? The basic escape he's going to do for this is come to the outside and create tension at that spot. So by bringing his hand up like he's doing and turning on it, he's making a ton of tension right there where my grip is, and it's going to be really, really hard for me to hold him. Okay, now, he can also do a Timmy with this, right? So, for example, on the sotomowari we just do, he's coming here and he's hitting me in the head here, bang, at the same time, right? So he's popping me in the head as well as that. And if we were in a kata-dori and he did a triangle, same thing, right? He's going to be hitting me, bang, okay? Now, we're not thinking about the hit in the sense of like it's creating so much damage that I'm shocked to death and I fall apart or I go to sleep or whatever. And I think when I talk about this, a lot of times people think like I have some kind of like pacifistic ideas about it. No, I've just hit people as hard as I possibly can and nothing fucking happened, right? So you can hit someone all out, right? And they have no reaction. And so I think depending upon that reaction is a bad idea, right? So while the atemi is going to help in that, he's not dependent upon it. But what it is really doing is pushing my face even further away from the action, right? So even if, you know, I'm a tough guy and he does that triangle, when he starts pushing my face away, it gets really, really hard for me to stay in tune with Josh, right? So I can't have much harugi because my hand gets separated from my body. I can't see very well what's going on anymore because he's in my face. So that's the quality of it. And it's not because like we're pacifists and we don't want to hurt someone. Like I recommend regularly beating people with sticks and blades. So like I can't say that I'm a pacifist about these things. But you also can't count on it being amazingly effective, right? Okay, so he's going to create tension at the grab spot. He's going to atemi most of the time with this, and the atemi is how it works out really well. And then if those are failing, he's going to go into some kind of principle lesson in order to do that, right? So one of the kyo-waza, okay? So for example, let's say Josh went to a 45 with a little pressure, right? Okay, and he comes up here like this, and now he can't get me off. If he comes through with nikyo right here, right, he'll weaken my grip. So basically what all of the wrist techniques in Aikido do is they create weakness inside the gripping device, right? So the gripping device is my hand, right? So when I'm holding him, I'm really strong in this configuration. Now, if you put me in a weaker configuration like the nikyo, now I'm not nearly as strong because my hand's all messed up, right? So like if I was going to climb a rope and I climb like this, that's the normal way I'm strong. If I tried to climb the rope like this, that's a difficult way, right? And I wouldn't be nearly as good at climbing rope that way. So same thing's true with this. He's going to go into one of the principles. Now on that same 45, he could also go into an ikkyo, right? And the ikkyo, what the ikkyo is going to do is it's going to create a ton of pressure here, and it's really hard for me to hold on while he's pushing me in a vulnerable position. So my arm can't get as strong that way because my elbow's up, so my shoulder's in a weaker position, and it's easier for him to pop me off, right? He could do the same thing with, say, a sankyo. Maybe he's going to go uchimowari for whatever reason on this morote, right? And then when he does that right here, he's got the sankyo, and he can use that sankyo to help clear me off as well, right? So he's going to, A, create tension at the grab position, B, give a atemi if he can, and that's part of the elongation of the tension process. Then he's going to apply some kind of principal lesson in order to get me. Those are probably going to either be Ikkyo, Nikkyo, Sankyo, could be a Yankyo, although probably not quite as likely. Could be a Gokyo, although not quite as likely, or could be a Rokyo, right? So any of those principal lessons are going to make the facility or the thing that I'm using to grab him weaker, and that's going to make it easier for him to escape. So those are his main ideas, and then of course if all those ideas fail, he's going to immediately go into Kanren, he's going to go into some adaptation, right? So let's say Josh shot a Sotomowari on this, right? Sorry, Sotomori? He shot a Sotomori, and he's creating tension here. He's coming around. Now, if it doesn't work, he's going to adapt into another one. There he used a triangle, right? So if all of those fail, then he's going to immediately go into Kanren, and Kanren's going to change the situation, and hopefully he can get free from that situation. Now, those are all do-dori, the body dori. The hands are really not that different, except we're not going to rely upon stress as our #1 factor. So the reason for that being, right, if Josh just pulls away from me here, I can probably keep him, right? Okay, so he really needs to, in this situation, create a weakness in my hand right away, because grabbing this is easy for all of us to get a hold of, right? So everyone is going to be able to hold that really, really strong, right? So creating tension here isn't going to work quite as well. So what he's going to try and do immediately is start to get one of those basic ideas. Now, he could Nikkyo, right? He could Ikkyo. He could Kodagaish. He could, yeah, it's okay. Josh is doing his own thing. It's okay. I can adapt. All right, so he can do any one of those principal lessons in order to pop me off, right? And because what he's doing is he's weakening that grip. That's what he's doing. And then again, of course, if he can use the other hand, he will, right? So if I had him Gyakute here, he could come in with the triangle and hit me in the floating ribs, bang, and that's more likely to help me let go because I'm getting pushed further away from that spot. So the Te-Dori are in a lot of ways harder because they're going to have a better hold, so you're immediately going to start using anything from the Kyowaza in order to do that, right? So Orokyos can do it, right? So if I had him Gyakute and he turns Sotomowari here, bang, he's pushing on the back of my elbow, and that makes it really, really hard for me to keep holding on to him. And of course, if I adapted to that, he would adapt right along with me, and we'd get a Kanren for it. So those are the basic building blocks, right? You're going to use those all the time. If it's a do-dori, first you're thinking, how do I create pressure? How do I create a timmy? How do I use principal lessons? If it's a hand grab, how do I create principal lessons, right? So, and the tension and the atimi also are all in there, but the main thing is you're going to be working those principal lessons. Okay, now understand all this has to be done with Tai no Hinko. You can't have Hodoki without Tai no Hinko. So say we're here, and Josh just clears my hand with whatever, right? I'm still here. So immediately after he clears that, I'm still going to be hitting him, kicking him, grabbing him, whatever I was doing before. However, if he adds Sotomowari to that, now he's in a different position, and I have to adapt to him, right? So Hodoki can't happen without Tai no Hinko. So you always have to add a Tai no Hinko. Those are the basic 6 that you've seen before, right? So it's either going to be a 45, a 90, a triangle, Sotomori, an Uchimori, or an Irimi, right? So those are the basic ones we're going to use all the time. You're always trying to increase your position from Muhanmi, right, like this, to a better position, right? And the next best position is Hanmi, that's here. Okay, the next best position is Hitomi, that's here, and the next best position is Irimi here. So when we're getting those Hodoki, that's how your line of thinking should be going, right? So that's it. That's it. Did I miss anything? I think I got it all, okay? So those are the building blocks you use those. If you want to see some more specific ideas, I'll give them to you. If you look in the forums do these things consistently. So the forums outline all the rules that I just did. Just intuitively, you work through them as you do the forums. So those are the basic ideas. I'm Christopher Hein, Joshua Teehee. Behind that center cam right there is Maya Solana McDaniel. She gave one of these little waves. We'll see you guys in the next video.